What is going on again, everyone? As you can see, we're still out here flying. We are once again rocking and rolling with the Air 2S and the Evo 8K. But today, instead of talking about photo quality, we're actually talking about video mode and which one of these drones might be better for you, whether you're an experienced videographer or if you're someone who has very little experience flying a drone. If you watched the last video, Lee's been flying the Evo II 8K for about a year. He mainly does photo, he does very little video stuff. So what we're gonna do is a shot for shot video wise. We're gonna do one shot of him flying the Evo II 8K, which he's been flying for over a year. And then he's gonna do the exact same shot on the Air 2S, which he has actually never flown before. So he's over there right now doing the pattern on the Evo 2. As soon as he's done with that, I'm gonna go switch out controllers with him. I literally have the Air 2S just kind of sitting over there waiting, if you can see it. So as soon as he's done with that shot, we're gonna do the same thing on the Air 2S, but we're gonna use the active track, and then we're gonna show you both of the videos right next to each other so you can see the difference and what it makes when someone who is not used to necessarily looking for cinematic video footage and how easy that transition is. So with that being said, let's go. All right, so we just did shot number one. Now we're setting up for shot number two. This one's gonna be a much simpler shot, just a straight pull away. And we'll see the comparison between these once again. All right, so here's some pretty cool features that you can do. We're going into the quick shots right now, which are basically like the master shots, except for just very small segments of it, each shot in particular. What we're going after right now, I believe, is called the Helix, and it's very, very simple. Like I said, Lee, this is his first time flying this drone, so when you see all this footage, keep that in mind. He has never flown the Air 2S before. He's been flying the Evo 2 for over a year. So, Lee, let's go ahead and start the Helix pattern. Fly that for me. One button. Action. And there it goes. It's flying its own thing. So I guess this is so hard. I guess we don't even really have to like film this because it's doing its own thing. It's just rocking and rolling. We'll see what it looks like when it's done now. So we're gonna slap that guy on out of my way. We're gonna come back in a little bit when he's doing it with the Evo, since that will be a little more interesting to watch. All right, everybody, as you can see, we are now here for the final shot. We are reproducing the Helix that the DJI Air 2S just did for itself. Lee is now controlling the Autel Evo II again, the 8K, and he's gonna try and pull off the same maneuver that it did. Let's see what this looks like. So, do you think you got it? You want to try it again? You good to go?
I've got it as good as I can get it.
All right. Well, now what I'm going to do is I've only flown the Evo 2 for like 5 minutes total, but I'm going to take the control since I'm used to getting cinematic footage with my other drones, and I'm going to see basically, I guess, how well I can pull off the shot. So here we go. Oh, we're still on record mode, even better. Well, I'll tell you what I know I did not just do, and that is successfully pull off that shot, because my drone is like way over there somewhere. It's definitely not where it's supposed to be. You'll be looking at all this footage instead of my ridiculous face trying to fly the drone. But there we go. We just did shot for shot, 3 different kind of video shots. We're talking about the difference between the Air 2S, the Evo 2. Now we're gonna go rock in the studio for a little while and really break it down. What's going on, everyone? We are back in the studio, as I just said, here with Lee, and we're going to talk about basically a rundown of the 2 drones. So, Lee, now that you've had a chance as an experienced Evo 2 pilot, like we talked about before, and you've flown the Air 2S, give us just a general breakdown about what you think about it as a first-time flyer.
First time flying it, the ease of operation is great. The stick control is about the same as the Evo. Especially in sport mode, because then it gets really reactive. In shooting the video, I got shots off of the DJI I've never be able to get off the Evo, just because I'm not steady enough with getting the gimbal and the tracking and the moving and that's a lot to do, and I'm just not that good of a pilot. I'm happy not to run into stuff, so no bumping into stuff. That's my goal.
Understand.
But with the DJI, it's all programmed in. I don't think it's hacky. I think it's actually a good tool to have if you're using it along with your photography and your other videography that you're getting, as well as the drone that you're using. But yeah, ease of flight was great. Moving it from point A to point B, I never felt like I couldn't control it. I didn't lose it. I knew where it was all the time. All in all, it's a good flyer.
Nice. That's what I'm talking about. So now I'm not going to ask you if you're necessarily going to switch from your Evo to the Air 2S, because I mean, you'll probably fly both, if I had to guess. That's how most of us do it. We don't necessarily just switch over to one, especially when you have 2 great drones.
Yeah.
We're not necessarily saying that one is better than the other, or you should definitely have this one and you're not so smart if you get the other one. It's definitely not the case. The case is these are both incredible drones, and we're talking about minutia in details that actually matters. That's one of the things you just mentioned I thought was really cool, was all those little things that people are calling kind of hacky or gimmicky, but I've actually already used them so many times, so I've actually found them useful in my field. Maybe not everyone does, but in real estate, it really works for us.
Oh yeah, and it also helps to have a wider tool bag, to be able to say, okay, the Evo is going to be great, but I know there's a shot I can get with the other drone that I can't get with this drone. Let me pull this one out and use that in conjunction with. I mean, I've got no problem flying 2 drones on one shoot.
Yeah.
If it gets the images that I want to get, do what you got to do to get the shot.
So here's a question for you then. After now flying the Air 2S and using like the active track feature for it, does it kind of open up your ability or make you feel more comfortable offering video to clients, something that you've never personally done before?
Definitely. And that's one of the reasons I never really got into drone video, was my drone videos look hacky. You look at it, you're like, really? That's what you got? But with the Air 2, it's built in that you can get those cinematic shots that in my mind look great, but in what I can physically make the drone do, never looks quite, well, it looked better in my head. Doesn't the clients don't understand that. So
I understand.
To be able to have that, like I said, that other little tool you can pull out is awesome.
Man, that's a great way of looking at it. So was there anything when you were flying the Air 2S that you didn't expect, kind of out of the blue, or maybe something that you didn't like about it when you were flying it?
Being that it was the first time, I don't have the experience, I think, to be too negative, because everything that I saw was pretty positive. and I've also got to remember, and because I flew like 4 drones today, there was a couple of times I got disoriented on the drone itself and where it was pointing, which is just simply you look down, you see where the video is, and you go, oh, I'm supposed to be pointed that way, and you turn the drone.
I did notice that, especially when the active track is selected. You know, it's hard to get used to kind of the fact that the camera's always pointed at this thing no matter what you do. So it does kind of confuse your orientation when you've never had something like that. It's like a lock.
The inability to turn the drone and fly over here to get a better shot, which is what I'm used to doing, I had to realize that the camera's going to look at what it's locked onto. Mm-hmm. And I have to, instead of turning the drone, I have to just back the drone up to where I want it to be. It's just a slightly different way of thinking about how to get from point A to point B. But once you figure out how the controls feel, it's not a problem. And you never, even in that moment of I never lost control of the drone.
Yeah.
It was still stable. It wasn't going anywhere. It was a little confused because I was asking it to do things it didn't want to. But once we worked that out, I think he gave in a little bit. I don't want to say it was all me that gave in. But once I figured out how the steering worked, that part it's going to be a process, but it wasn't something I can't overcome. So.
Well, I know one thing for sure. This guy definitely loves sport mode on the Air 2S. He was cranking on it, and he talked specifically about how cool that switch was right there on it.
Oh, yeah.
That's one thing I noticed when I was flying his Evo. It is a little turtle mode, for lack of a better term. It is slower. Yeah. I'm sure you can go in there, adjust that. I just like how quick the access of it is. I mean, there may be something on that display panel that'll switch it over quickly for the Evo.
I've never had to go. That's why when I got let's see what Sport does. I realized if I get in trouble around trees or power lines or anything, if I can point it in the right direction, hit Sport, and floor it, I can get out of that situation pretty quick.
Man, it goes.
And then figure out how to get back to get the shot that I was looking for. So, yeah, that was a lot of fun. I like the go zoom. I like the go zoom.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's about all we really have. I just wanted to go over that. Now, there'll be some clips probably right before this or right after this where I'm really going over the footage in particular. I'll show you the shots and the photographs, kind of build them all together so you can get your own opinion of how they look next to each other. That being said, as always, if you like the content I provided and the way I provided it, like, smash, subscribe, all those button things for YouTube. Catch you next time.